the deep sense of you're welcome just as you are. And that's it. And this is what touches me deeply. It touched me when I started 10 years ago. The sense of being heard and seen. Whatever. With madness, sadness, joy, craziness, whatever. And this makes it so human. And this is what I think is most needed right now in this world.
Welcome to the Passing Through podcast, a show dedicated to exploring those spaces not just within, but also between and around us. The cracks in the walls, the moments between the moments. I speak with thinkers, authors, artists, teachers, and everyday humans who have touched the edge of the ordinary and found something to bring back. This week, I'm joined by the lovely Lydia Schamschula. I had the privilege of meeting Lydia back in April during my first experience with holotropic breathwork. She organizes and facilitates events with the team at Holotropic Breathwork Berlin and has spent over a decade deepening her experience. Her background includes other modalities such as Zen and Osho meditation, Qigong, and yoga, which all inform her grounded, embodied approach. Lydia brings a special blend of presence, care, and deep dedication to her work. She holds space with authenticity and openness and is clearly committed to nurturing the inner healing wisdom both in herself and in others. In our conversation, we explore breathwork, Stanislav Grof's pioneering research into psychedelics and birth matrices, non-ordinary states of consciousness. We talk about transpersonal experiences and the deep healing that can emerge when we come together to be seen, heard, and held. It was a real treat to sit down with Lydia, and I hope you find as much insight and resonance in this conversation as I did. If you want to learn more about Lydia and her work, you could find out about upcoming events at holotropicberlin.com. If you're curious about diving into this work yourself, there's a special upcoming retreat blending holotropic breathwork and Zen meditation, starting on October 18th near Hanover, Germany. All of the links to Holotropic Berlin will be in the show notes. As always, be good to one another. And now, before we begin, I invite you to join me in taking a single, centering breath in and out. Feel your shoulders softening and all of your distractions and worries slowly melting away as we sink in to this conversation. Okay, Lydia Schamschula, welcome to the Passing Through podcast. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. It's great to see a familiar face. And before we talk about you and your story, I would like to speak a little bit about holotropic breathwork, because for some listeners, they may not know what this is. And I think it's probably important context so it could set the frame for people who are listening and understand what we're about to speak about.
Yes. So holotropic breathwork is breathing methods developed by Stan and Christina Grof. Stanislav Grof is his name. We all call him Stan. So it was developed in the 70s. To give you a bit of a background, Stan is a psychiatrist. He was deep into research, very curious about humanity, about humans, and deep into the field of non-ordinary states of consciousness. I mean, this is a long story. I may make this a long story short, or try my best. So he was in the research with psychedelics. He worked with psychedelics. He did studies with psychedelics, worked in clinics in Maryland. I think before that in Czech Republic, where he was born. He's born in Prague. Moved to the US and worked in Maryland in clinics, worked with LSD 25. So when this got illegal, he was a scholar in residence in Esalen, Big Sur, California. And he was writing a book, he did research work, and people in the workshops, they wanted to do some work. They didn't want to just listen to his experience and stories. But of course, they couldn't use psychedelics. So Stan and Christina, they developed together with the participants in workshops. That was my dog.
She's with us now.
She's with us, yes. Now she's finding another comfy place to sit and be present for us. Yes, she found it. So through all his work in this field, you know, in the clinics, working with many, many clients with LSD, he observed a lot of things. And through his observations, they developed holotropic breathwork. And of course, the influence by Christina Grof, she went deep into the yoga path, the Kundalini path. And she came out of a family of musicians. I think the father was a musician, and she brought all her knowledge and experience with music into the field. And they created it together. So basically, and what I found really interesting is he observed basically at the end of the sessions, LSD sessions, some people couldn't integrate their session. Some of them, they came out and they felt reborn and really calm. But some of them, they came out and they felt huge aggression, anger, sadness. So they couldn't integrate. And they actually had to wait 10 days because of the chemicals. You can't, repeat the session a day later. They had to wait 10 days to enter another session and to pray, hopefully now they can integrate. So once a guy came out, that's what Stan described, and he was full of rage and anger and had pain in his shoulder. So he asked Stan to put his hand on the shoulder and to give pressure. He itself gave pressure and Stan gave counter pressure. And they did this a while, and after a while, all the emotions came out. He was coughing and the body was suddenly moving, and he could start slowly integrate the session. Another time, a woman came out of the session and she had nausea, and Stan put his hand on her belly, and the same thing happened. She started vomiting, and so, and he shared, he started doing this as part of the integration for LSD. And the other thing is, what he discovered is people started automatically breathing a little bit deeper and a little bit faster. It just happened. And something suddenly started moving within themselves. Emotions came up, or, the body was moving, or sensations. So he brought in these discoveries, working many, many years with clients on LSD. He brought this into the field when they developed holotropic breathwork. But of course, they always said, and they still say, it's not their work. I mean, breath, it's thousands of years old, it's always used to enter non-ordinary states of consciousness. Ancient wisdom, indigenous people, all tribes, they always used the breath. They always said they are midwives to it. They found a structure, but it was developed together with the participants. So many, many people came to Esalen for long term. We are talking about they stayed together 30 days, 40 days in one workshop. They did this together. Also, how it happened that a sitter, breath work, the holotropic breath work, it happens in diet. So there's a breather and a sitter, and in the second session, it's vice versa. It just happened because Stan had an accident. I think he was working in the garden and something happened to his back, so he couldn't move. But they had a big group coming, and Stan and Christina were like, what are we gonna do? We can't hold the space. We can't work with the people. And this is how the idea came up. Okay, we just split the group and everyone has a sitter. Yeah, and the people shared afterwards that something huge happened for them while sitting, while being a witness of the work. Not only being a witness of your breathing partner, but being a witness of the room, of the,
Yeah, that was and I guess we could jump into more of that later. That was a very interesting experience for me personally when I had attended my first holotropic breathwork session with you, and we can talk about that later. But yeah, that aspect of not only having the experience of breathing, but having the experience of being there and being witness to the person and to the energetic field in the room was a very special, unforgettable experience. So yeah, I could see how that was probably a big development for this process when he realized that.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think we can also talk about it if you liked, but it's something what moves within myself, or I was thinking about it many times. It's the part of the group. What does the group bring into this field? Holotropic breathwork is rarely done one-on-one. We don't offer it for several reasons. So me and our team, I know some facilitators, they does it, but rarely. But it's actually developed for a group. And I think there's something really valuable in it.
Yes, that's something I did want to speak about later, so I'm happy that that's also in the field. But maybe before we do, since we've set the stage, people understand that, okay, so this is a method where a group of people come together, they sit down in a room, there's music, there's breath, and a non-ordinary state is accessed. And so this is the basic idea. At some point, you're sitting, at another point, someone's sitting for you. The process lasts for hours, and it's very unusual, or it can be very unusual. So this is the stage, this is the stuff we're talking about. It can be very therapeutic, very healing, very somatic, very spiritual, transpersonal, right? This is what Grof was studying or pioneering. So how did you find your way into this work? Let's talk a little bit about your doorway into this world.
Oh well. Okay. So I mean, I'm on my way, whatever that means, like 20 years, or maybe my whole life. I don't know. I remember when I was a child, when I was really little, I was questioning life. You're born and you witness your parents, your siblings. I have two brothers. My parents, they worked a lot, and I was like, wow. I mean, that's it. You're born. You at some point, first you go to kindergarten and then to school, and then you study, and then you work, and then you have your partner, your kids, your house. It's like there's something missing.
Yeah.
It can't be it. It's not possible. So I was always questioning, actually, and I didn't deep inside, I didn't want to go that path. Something was not quite right for me. It felt somehow off. So I started my journey with I did a lot of Osho meditation and different kinds of meditation, and I'm still meditating. I hate and love, to speak in the dualistic term, meditation, Zen meditation. But it was like 2014 or 15. A dear friend and my colleague, actually, also facilitator, holotropic breathwork facilitator, with whom I'm organizing the workshops in Berlin, Cyrus, he told me about holotropic breathwork. He said, it might be something for you. So I went straight to, I didn't read anything, I had no knowledge about holotropic breathwork. I thought it's something like meditating, similar to maybe Vipassana or something like this. So I went straight to Spain to a training module. 6 days in Spain, beautiful place, beautiful venue, directly on the ocean, the seaside. It was beautiful. 120 people sitting in the opening circle. It was a
Wow.
nightmare. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I had no idea what I'm going to enter. So they gave us the whole intro talk about holotropic breathwork, where it comes from, and I was really afraid. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And to say, we spoke about it at the very beginning. I'm a nerd, so big groups, it's it's quite something for me, especially 10 years ago. Now I'm more at ease, of course, with it, but still, my heart, something deep inside. I also like to be in smaller groups and intimate groups, or just by myself in the forest with the trees
Mm.
and the animals. So it was really scary for me to sit there. And then I was first a sitter because I had to see what's going on in the room. I had to
Mm.
see it and to be sure this place is safe. And actually, I was amazed. I was amazed. Of course, it was really scary because this house was a madhouse, to be
Yes.
really honest. 60 people breathing at the same time. It was beyond words. But the caring of the facilitators, seeing the sitters taking care of their breathers, it was, I never saw something like this before. Never. And at this moment, it was clear for me, I will start this path. I feel connected to the work. And also my first breathwork sessions. And I will never forget my first breathwork sessions. It was a nightmare on one side, and on the other side, it was incredible touching. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like it was a kind of love at first sight story where you wanted, I mean, not love because there was also horror and this nightmarish quality of it, but this resonance with you where you felt, oh, this is something. This is the thing that maybe you felt was missing in life, that this is all there is. Just go to school and get married and get old and die. Where's the rest of it? And it sounds like going into an experience like that can open a door for whole new worlds of possibility and experience and knowledge, connection, so many things, different levels of awareness, I guess. I can understand that because my first time there as well, my story is similar to yours, except I was breathing first. And so I didn't know what was happening all around me. And that was something to behold when it was my turn to sit. And I was like, wow. Yeah, because I didn't know what to expect when I went into this experience. And that was part of the fear. That was part of the unknown, is how is this going to be for me? What's going to happen in my body? What's going to happen in my mind? What's going to happen in other realms from a spiritual perspective? So many question marks. And to see the diversity of experience and what's in the field was really incredible. It to me, it was like I was in a room full of like spirit possession. Like there were people being possessed by spirits or having really releasing painful traumas and because I guess you could speak a little bit more about this. I don't know a ton about it, but Grof researched the birth process and tied the birthing process to this breath. So can you speak a little bit more about that? Because I find that really interesting too.
Yes. Stan developed some sort of map, the map of the psyche, the human psyche. And one of his masterpieces is the birth process. It's not that we are born, tabula rasa, white paper, and then everything starts. What he discovered is that many people in their LSD session, and later then in holotropic breathwork, they went back to their birth process, to the time when they were born. So he put it in 4 stages. It's really a science about it. He wrote many books, and I think in every book you can find something about the birth matrices he's talking about. So it's the time around birth. It's not like in the first month. Of course, you can also have experiences early stage, even when, everything happened, the sperm and you can also discover that in your holotropic breathwork.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But basically, we're talking now about the time around birth. So the first, and I've tried to make this really short. So the first stage, the good womb or the toxic womb. And this is, please, it's not about the good mother or the bad mother. No, it's really just, the good womb is when we talk about the mother is really in a safe space. She feels nourished. She has time for herself. No stress or not much stress. She's healthy. She's in a very healthy relationship. And then you can have ecstatic experiences. So people share about dancing with the stars, feeling bliss, oneness. I had once an experience where I was swimming with the stars. So it felt like I'm being in the ocean, connected to everything. So those kinds of experiences. The toxic womb is, imagine some women are in war situations, for example. Some need to take medications, and there you can feel like being in water and being poisoned, for example, feeling a bad taste in the mouth, those kind of experiences. Then, and this is right before labor starts. So labor starts, and what happens is the contractions are starting, but there's still the cervix is not open yet. So, and there's no warning. No one is saying, hey, you're going from the good womb, the paradise, into, be aware, into hell. Because there's no way out suddenly. You're stuck. And that's the so-called Matrix 2. And this is a very, very challenging place to be.
I never thought about this before, but I wonder if that could be the root of people who later in life develop claustrophobia, for example.
Yeah.
You're like just stuck in the tightest space and you can't move and something's wrong. It could be hugely traumatic, I would guess.
Yes. Yes. For example, also many people feel stuck in their lives sometimes. The feeling of my life is not moving. I don't know, my relationships are stuck, my work, my career is stuck. Nothing is really flowing in my life. I feel just stuck. In a bigger picture, the pandemic, for me, it seemed like the whole universe is in Matrix 2 right now. We're just stuck. Nothing is moving anymore. So in the session, when we enter the Matrix 2, this can be a very scary place to be, because you really experience stuckness. It's you feel hopeless, helpless, and you have this feeling of this is never going to end. So what we always say, and this is usually not happening within one session, surrender to it. See if you can surrender to it. But who wants to surrender? I don't want to surrender to, being helpless, and that's the end of the world. So yeah, that's Matrix 2. And then when the cervix is open, the rage is starting. It's really the death rebirth. Matrix 3 is like you can experience war and bloods and sexual orgies. It's like it's all the emotions, rage, and there's a lot going on in the Matrix 3. So it's really related to death rebirth. And then finally you come out, and that's the Matrix 4. So you are reborn. But then, of course, how did you experience coming out into the world? Some had the mother, the mother holding you as a baby, and you were nourished, and the space was warm, the lights were warm, the atmosphere was warm, but some of us were taken away because the mother was maybe sick, or we were sick, we were too little, too fragile, put into an incubator. And so what he basically discovered, and I can also speak about my own experience here, is a lot of patterns, main patterns, how we see the world is rooted in our birth process. That's why many people, not all, but some, are going back sooner or later into their birth process. And then we raise awareness. This work is a lot about being mindful and having awareness. And this is what started for me. It's like, that's interesting. It's somehow related to how I move through the world, or where I feel triggered, or, my main patterns in life. So it's a masterpiece by Grof. It's incredible work. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that context. It's very illuminating and fascinating. And I was thinking as you were speaking, I hadn't realized before how the birth process is itself kind of fractal. Like it within it has this kind of arrival, descent, death, rebirth, emergence. And often when we think about birth, it's just the beginning. But within it, it's like a Russian doll. It's like these little nested fractals of experience. And to think about it that way is really crazy, because birth itself is kind of then breathing. It has its own life and it ripples out through your entire future. So it's a very important moment in our development, somatically, emotionally, energetically, and we often don't really even think about that, or it was so long ago we think it's unimportant. But as you're describing here, it could have huge and deep, lasting ramifications for your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a longer talk with a doctor at the Charité here in Berlin, and he's doing incredible work with babies, palliative care for babies, and he's one of a kind. It's not very common in the world, unfortunately, that there's palliative care for the very little ones just right after birth. So we talked about birth and death. We had some talks about it, and he said most people, because we're lucky, the Western medicine is so developed, so we forgot how close we are to death when we are born.
Hmm.
That's the closest we get as a human being, or I think all beings, to death, to dying, and then later when we get older. So this is really marked. I really, when he talked about it, I was like, yes, now we have the medicine. Luckily, we have the hospitals, and it's not that so many people die anymore while they're born. And also the mother and the connection of the baby and the mother. They go together through this incredible experience. And this can also affect, people share about feeling guilty or feeling shame towards the mother, or vice versa. So this is, an incredible topic, and a powerful experience we can have in holotropic states or other modalities.
Hmm. A related question, I guess. It was a question I wanted to ask somewhere along the way here, and I think maybe here it feels like it's right. You described yourself as having been doing this work for decades, for 20 years. Are there maybe a handful or a couple important takeaways or learnings that you could name that you've come to through this experience, through this work? Can you say, yeah, it's definitely taught me this, or definitely taught me that? Is there something that springs to mind?
So I'm not doing holotropic breathwork 20 years. I do holotropic breathwork 10 years, but I started like with meditation and my path like 20 years ago.
Okay.
But related to holotropic breathwork, yes. I mean, first when I started, I wasn't like, I hadn't have a vision that I said, I want to become a facilitator. It was just, I felt drawn to this work. There's a lot here for me. I mean, my life changed completely. I started seeing the world completely different. I myself went many times through my birth process. It's not always the same experience. So, in my experience, it was more that we have a term, one of the most important terms in holotropic breathwork is the inner healing intelligence, the inner healing wisdom, what gives you what you need in this moment to experience, to see, to feel in order to move on. So, in my experience, it was related to my birth. And always my inner healing wisdom gave me always just one little piece, and then another one, and then another one. So I had to be patient until I really could see the picture. And I'm a twin, so I have a twin brother. And the relation to him, with the feelings about feeling guilty, feeling shame, he's maybe a bit more fragile from when he was born, not now, but when he was born, he was more fragile. And this happens really often when you're a twin. One is completely strong and the other one is maybe a bit weaker. And that happened to us. And I didn't know about the impact of it, until I went into holotropic breathwork. And how, I told you about the main patterns in my life and where I try to control things, for example. And I can't let go of things. And I became more at ease with it. I'm completely honest. I can't say, and I'm not sure about it, if you really need to get rid of something, if you really need to heal something, Speaking of holotropic breathwork, it means moving towards wholeness. I really believe within ourselves there is a part which is always whole, doesn't need anything. But I think I don't need to get rid of the main patterns. I don't need to, it's more of becoming more easy with it.
Mm-hmm.
More, it's like more befriending, like being a friend with my main patterns. Oh, here it comes again, the emotions and to be more aware, just to be more aware. And this, what happened to me, going more and more inside, not so much outside.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what you do with meditation, but my experience is it takes much longer if you only meditate. And I think the combination of holotropic breathwork and meditation is the best combination.
Maybe you could speak about that a bit too, because I know that this is something you've been exploring. This is something you offer, so you have experience in it. And I wonder why you say that. What about that combination makes it so potent?
Okay, there are many layers to it. Let me say it like this. I personally think there's not so much of a difference. It's more the idea of, and I really understand just sitting on the cushion and concentrating on breath. It can be really challenging.
Yes.
For many people, including me. I said to you at the beginning, it's a hate-love, It's, I really hate it sometimes, I must say. But, but there is something in it. And I'm always curious, what is it? You know, the question, who am I? Who is this? What is beyond all the experience? And then it brings me right back to Zen. But Zen is, in my opinion, it's not about happiness, being calm. It's really juicy. It's really lively. And rarely I feel, I mean, yes, I had the experience of, you know, feeling calm. But to sit 30 minutes and your life is upside down, that's, you know, you're in the middle of a storm. Pooh, this can be quite intense. And to have the discipline to just watch what is happening, to watch the minds and to watch the body, the emotions. So that's why I think it's not so different. Of course, in holotropic breathwork, you can move, you can scream, you have the immediate response of your body, and you know, you can let it out. What we are usually not doing in Zen.
Yes.
But what is happening inside, there is no difference.
You know, this raises an important or interesting question. What function, because it seems in meditative practices, whether it's Zen, whether it's Vipassana, whatever silent, seated, still practice, when you compare that to something like holotropic, where it can be much more animated, you can be moving, you can be shouting, you can be kind of discharging this energy or this whatever's somatically trapped in your body. You said these things of being stuck. You have the option to use movement, whether it's vibrating your vocal cords, moving the air, moving your muscles, moving your skeletal structure, moving your fascia, all of this stuff. You can kind of untangle or unknot and get things moving again. Do you think that that somatic role, that element that holotropic has, does that make it different than Zen meditation, where you can't do those things? Because in these more stillness meditations, which I also enjoy myself, I wonder, how do we get that discharge that you can get through holotropic? Can you get it the same way? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, it's I don't know what the answer is there, but I do know, having been to both kind of experiences, the stuff that's in the body that you can access through holotropic feels somehow, in a way, deeper.
I don't know. I'm completely honest. I don't know. It's something to be discovered. And I have many questions raising up in this direction. If you deepen the work, holotropic breathwork, meditation, and what I also do is Qigong. So I have a daily practice of Qigong and meditation. Yeah, it's the path of discovery, staying open and curious and see where it all goes. Once in a year, we have a retreat, a 5-day-long retreat with holotropic breathwork and Zen meditation. You know, in holotropic breathwork, the most important part, and this is what I really want to bring in, is, for me, the preparation and the integration. And the integration, I mean, Zen is one of the best ways to integrate a holotropic breathwork session. If you're into it, it's not a dogma. It's, you know, I always say, find your way. Find your way. Is it a walk? Is it meditating, yoga practice, whatever it is? But it's interesting what happens on a retreat when you come out of a holotropic breathwork session, and then you have the opportunity to sit with a group, not home alone, but with the same group. You just did this the session, and you're just sitting with what came up. So you had the holotropic state, and right afterwards you go and you just sit with it, not doing anything with it, being the witness of what is happening in your body. And this is really powerful for many people. And they share that the sitting, and many last time they said, hey, can we sit even more? And we had a lot of sitting in there. And I was like saying to Cyrus, maybe it's too much sitting sessions. Can we just reduce a bit? Because Cyrus is much more into sitting than me. And I was surprised at the end of the sharing, the people were like, hey, maybe next time could we sit a bit more? And I was like, wow, okay, guys. So something happened. It's a different, when you do it as a daily practice, home, alone. Yes, I think it's a wonderful way to continue your practice, but different to when you are on a retreat and you just had your session and then you just sit. Or in the morning, what we always do is having a sitting session, maybe even noble silence. What I did one training module with a Zen master in Spain, holotropic breathwork and Zen. And it really supported me to be in noble silence before entering my session. Just to be with myself, no distraction. And it deepens the experience. It deepens the being in, and then not going outside. And talking can sometimes become a distraction.
Yes.
So, yeah.
There's a thought that I had as you were speaking, which was about this idea of two ideas simultaneously that fit together came to me. And one is the role of community here, the group in this work, both in holotropic and in Zen, where you have the Sangha with you. And the part that co-arose with this idea is when we look at natural cycles of things, you have light and you have night. You have winter and you have summer. You have these cyclical changes where it's almost the reverse of the thing happens. So you have holotropic, which is very energetically intensive. And then you have Zen where you're sitting still. But in both cases, you're still in a group community field. One of them is very activated and another is still activated, but in a different way. And I wonder if that combination of things functions as this interesting cyclical exchange or relationship that can facilitate more powerful levels of integration or awareness, for example.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying. I
Because
don't
the
know.
group aspect, the group aspect is important, right? It's not recommended to do holotropic alone. And when you're with a group, there's something that happens, there's a field that's generated of all of the people. And that field kind of becomes its own organism, would you say?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the group, it's really interesting also from my perspective, because that was where I was most scared of, the group. And many people share with us, I'm not so sure. And how do I find my partner? And how is the ritual of finding the partner? And can I come alone? And I wasn't alone. I know it from my experience how this might feel for some people to come with a bunch of strangers and do this kind of work. I'm speaking now about holotropic breathwork, but I can also speak about, Zen or Vipassana or other modalities. What I think in holotropic breathwork, especially in holotropic breathwork here, because we also have the sharing circles for the integration. And the most important part for me here is to have a safe space where you're seen and heard without judgment. The deep sense of you're welcome just as you are. And that's it. And this is what touches me deeply. It touched me when I started 10 years ago. The sense of being heard and seen, whatever, with madness, sadness, joy, craziness, whatever. And this makes it so human. And this is what I think is most needed right now in this world, especially now, because there's a lot of crazy things happening in the world right now. But I think always, because I don't know if all, but many of us experience not being seen, not being heard.
Yes.
Or we have the feeling we have to be different in order to fit in. And this is what I try, and we as a team really try to have this space and to create the space where everyone feels safe. And at the end, it's not only us as a team creating the space. At the end, we all do it together. And it's automatically in a safe space happening. It happens. Everyone starts taking care of each other in the most loving kindness way. And this, for me, makes holotropic breathwork so special and safe also.
I actually wanted to speak a bit about that. I'm happy that that came up because one of the things that struck me was your role in that, you and the team, not just in the space, but before we even enter the space, the preparation calls, the communication, the energetic container that people are kind of guided into and that you're co-creating with participants. But then once we are in the space together, the energy and care and support and kindness and love that I could feel from you as a space holder, as a facilitator, it really felt like the space was held, that I felt cared for, I felt safe, I felt protected, I felt supported. And I think that the group is responsible for this too. Everyone's co-creating it. But the role of the facilitation team and just the skillful way that all of you created that space and held it was really something special to me. And I think that that helps people go deeper into their process, and it really unlocks things because it takes away this anxious, nagging feeling of, is this safe? Am I okay? And you might still have that, of course, but there was a palpable energetic texture to the space that I think you were amazing at helping to create. So I wanted to talk about that and ask you, like, you as a facilitator, what have you learned about that and about groups in general facilitating this process over time? Because being a participant is one thing, but being a facilitator is a totally different dimension of stuff that's happening that you have to process and be aware of and feel and be ready for. So I was wondering if you could speak about that, because it's nice to have someone who facilitates well and understands these concepts and demonstrates the ability to do them. So I would love to pick your brain a bit about this kind of stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Great question. I see if I can answer something to that. I mean, first of all, the training of becoming a holotropic breathwork facilitator is intense. It's not something what you do within 2 weeks, luckily. I can't imagine, going through a 2 weeks program and then holding space for people in this kind of work. So you do a lot of work on yourself, and this is crucial. It's essential. You have to work on yourself. becoming familiar with those kinds of experiences. And it doesn't stop. We're not, I don't see it like, okay, I started training, I have my certification, I'm done. It's a lifelong journey of learning and being humbled and learning from other, from the participants, but also other teachers. I was lucky enough to learn from really great holotropic breathwork facilitators. There are still a few of them on the mat. They keep up the great work. Some they passed away already. So I had, and we all in the team had great teachers. The most important part of being a facilitator in this kind of work, and I think in other modalities as well, is stepping out of the way, becoming the non-doer. Taff Sparks, who developed GTT, the training, Grof transpersonal training, he talked about doing non-doing. So really being present with what is happening. We are not the experts. We are no therapists. We are not analyzing. We are not the knower. And we give it back to the participant. The bigger, the inner healing wisdom, their inner healing wisdom. They know what is good for them. We're just there to hold the space. And this is where we need to continue our work. Because of course, we're human beings. We might be triggered by something, what is happening in the room, but we need to be present. And it's okay to be triggered, but then maybe to say, hey, to the team member, I feel just a bit triggered and I can't work with this person right now because it's familiar to my experience. Maybe you can go, or someone else in the team, if the person needs support, of course. And this was also one of the aspects why I started the work. It's radical self-empowerment. It's about the breather. The breather is the director of the process. There are no gurus, no, people in the front saying, I know how it works. I'm gonna heal you. No. Everything in the whole setting is radical self-empowerment. It's you, it's your mat, it's your breath, and that's it. And this needs work. This is why we continue breathing, why we all have daily practice of inner work. As soon we enter a space, our process is on the back burner. Get out of the way. Nothing, there's nothing what should be in the way. And this needs a lot of practice, work, feedback, and discipline also. So yeah, when I came out of certification, I had no clue. When I started with this wonderful team, Cyrus and all the others in the team, wow, it was a roller coaster. And still sometimes it feels like, have I ever done this before? I feel like a total beginner. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing here.
I know this feeling well. It's similar with the community building facilitation. Everything you're saying is a mirror. We call it emptying. You want to be empty of all of your own stuff. You want to bracket whatever's going on with you and set it aside to make room for the group. And it's the same idea. And often there are things happening that you've never seen or you don't know what to do. And so it's being in this unknown. It's being in this liminal space. It sounds like you're describing.
Yes, The unknown. Exactly. Exactly. And this is what Stan had, or everyone describes it when Stan worked with people, this curiosity, being curious like a child. That's interesting. Like, no judgment. Everything can just be there. And, but for allowing it, we need to find a way to, how you described it beautifully, to empty ourselves, to be completely. But yes, I mean, sometimes, wow, I'm glad I have the team. I couldn't work, they are amazing facilitators. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's the same. It's to me, this work is ritual. You are performing a ritual. We don't, maybe you don't call it that. Maybe modern Western society doesn't see it this way, but really it's a ritual. It's a group of people coming together. There's music, there's movement, and there's a team of people holding space for the thing larger than themselves, for the spirit of the breath to come, or the spirit of community to come, or whatever spirit. There's some other presence there that isn't just human, right? And so it is a ritual. And whenever someone's performing a ritual, usually they're not doing it alone. And I think it's for this reason that you're describing.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think there's a lot happening we don't understand. We can't see, and we don't understand what is actually happening in a group. For me, it's having a big team in a group is essential for this work, because then it makes it safe. Sometimes we need support from a facilitator. Sometimes we feel triggered by one person. Then it's good when we as a breather can choose the facilitator. Sometimes for some reasons we need female presence or male presence on our side. So there are many layers to it, but I think it has something to do with this inner healing wisdom. It's also how a group comes together. It's amazing, I tell you. Sometimes it's just, we can't believe it. Sometimes we have people coming, in Berlin, we always have international groups. So we do the workshops in English, but we have, of course, German translations. And once we had in Berlin 4 Irish people in one group. They didn't know each other. They just felt drawn to this particular workshop, this date. 4 Irish people living in Berlin, they never met before, came to the
Wow.
same workshop. Many people who come to the same workshop who have similar life stories, for example. They have a similar background, for example, finding their way to the same workshop. Or sometimes we have many, many young people, and suddenly there are only young people coming, or younger. And sometimes we have workshops where suddenly older people coming, and they find their way into the same workshop. So there's something mysterious. It's a mystery in it. In this coming together, finding their partner, their sitting partner, breathing partner, is also an aspect of the inner healing wisdom, the inner healing intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. You're reminding me of something that this process is so shockingly simple that it kind of obscures the mystery, these mysterious aspects of it. Because, we already spoke about when I first went, I had no idea of the chaos, the madness that was happening when I was breathing. So there's these hidden aspects of it that you don't think about because you're like, well, I'm just breathing. And I wonder, these mysterious elements that you're describing here, is there anything that stands out to you, like a story or an experience where you've encountered something where you said, that was hard to forget, that was strange, And you know what I mean is like people on psychedelics like LSD, DMT, they'll sometimes talk about encountering, entities or intelligences. Famously, I think Terence McKenna talks about like the DMT elves that people see across cultures and time, that there are these intelligent beings that are somehow communicating something to them. So it seems like in these non-ordinary states, these mysterious, mystical states, you open yourself up to experiences that are very unusual or strange or hard to describe, even though what you're doing is very simple. You're just breathing. You're breathing a little bit deeper, a little bit faster. So nothing so bizarre is happening, but it allows for something bizarre to happen. And I wonder, have you had these kind of things? Like, do you have a bizarre story or personal experience? Maybe you met a DMT elf or some, something strange that happened?
I didn't meet the DMT elf. But I mean, we talked about the map of the human psyche, and we talked about the birth. But Grof, he also, had this map of the transpersonal. So yes, there are many transpersonal sessions. I mean, from my own experience, but some other people, a lot of other people, they shared transpersonal experiences, past life experiences, and really vivid, clear images. They can describe. The clothes and what language they spoke, and they saw, they can describe all the other people who were with them, and stuff like this. As music is also a great factor in holotropic breathwork, I want to speak briefly about my very first holotropic breathwork session. It was in, I think, 2015 in Spain. And the music changed, and it was an Arabian song. It was a song from the Middle East. And I remember how the track was triggering me, but intensely. I was like freaking out. I got so nervous about this track. I really wanted them to stop this music. I couldn't bear this melodies, the typical Middle East melodies. I couldn't. And of course, they ask us, or the facilitators say, hey, work with it, breathe into it. So this is what I did. I breathed into it. And suddenly I saw myself in the desert somewhere. And thousands of people moving where they were on the run, fleeing. Thousands. And it didn't stop. It just didn't stop. People from the Middle East going on horses and bikes, and it didn't make sense how they were moving. And after the session, I wondered. I was like, what was this about? Shortly after, the revolution in Syria started. So when I was back home, and there was this huge amount of people fleeing, they were on the run, fleeing Syria, coming to Germany or Austria, Italy, to Europe. And somehow I connected it. I was like, it was just, it's not about knowing but something within myself. And this is also about, in holotropic breathwork, it's about intuition, it's about trust. Trust your process, trust your knowing. And it touched me so deeply. I was so deeply touched, because before my mind couldn't really, couldn't make any sense out of it. Thousands of people running, fleeing. And it touched me. It really touched me because it just happened afterwards. Just, I don't know, weeks later. So this is something what I never forgot. It's just still with me. And there are many, many other stories.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It reminds me of, I guess, Grof's this concept of psyche that I guess you're accessing in these states, which is more of a field, right? It's we are participating in psyche. It's transpersonal. It isn't something that's just inside of us, and so maybe through this breath, it unlocks the ability to connect to things in that field. So that's really fascinating to think about, because then it means, and based on the stories that you're saying people share, it means that this field may not be limited by time.
Yes.
Because it can peek into the future, it can peek into the past. And that's very fascinating too.
Yes, I mean there's so much going on. So this is why I always say it's just humbled by the mystery, by I don't know, who am I? But then we are all part of it. Huh? Sometimes we're having sharings, people, they share exactly the same experience. Exactly. Like the pictures, the colors, everything is the same. Two people. What we also sometimes see is that we have two people breathing. They don't see each other, but they move simultaneously and they don't know about it. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. So there's weird things happening. Weird,
Yeah.
I mean, in a beautiful, you know, great way. It's just I can bow down in this moment to whatever is happening, and I hope it's for, and I really believe that it's not that we do the work only for us. Of course, when we start on our path, it's more like maybe it's the question, like me, well, you know, what is this all? This can't be it. There must be more, or whatever it is, it brings you on the path. And it's about you. But then it becomes more about it's opening up. We become more compassionate because we become more compassionate to ourselves. Automatically, it happens and we become more compassionate to others. And this has an echo. But in the greater, I think also as soon we enter a space like this and we do the work, something is happening also in the bigger picture.
Hmm. Yeah, I really like that. It's kind of speaking to this question of why do we do the work? And I think the reason that we do the work is what you just said. It's not just to make our lives easier, make us have more compassion to ourselves. The reason we do the work is to be in service to others. And not just other humans, but the other animate forces around us, the trees, the fish, the birds, the everything, to be in this vast relationship of service and reciprocity and gratitude and care. And that's why we do it, right? It's like the bodhisattva vow in Buddhism. It's you don't just do the work to save yourself, you do the work so that you may save others, right? It's there's beauty in this. I don't know, this is what I've been thinking lately, and it seems like maybe it's aligned with what you're sharing, is that we do the work to be in service to others and to help and care and love. And so it's nice to hear, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's nice to hear someone else come to the same conclusion.
Yes, absolutely. And also what I think what I said, you know, being seen and being heard, the importance of it. But it makes us human to meet in a very human way, moving towards wholeness. It's in Buddhism, you say that the suffering is part of life. Huh? We can't deny the suffering. We can't push it away. It's part of our human nature. And to have a space where you can share everything and everything is just okay as it is, brings us back to who we are. It's not, for me, it's not anymore so much of, finding happiness or, calmness. It's more about having it all and coming back to what it means to be a human being, with sadness, with anger, with love, with joy, with craziness and madness and juicy. That's juicy, huh? I mean, sometimes, or, I had ideas of how I should be and how I should talk, and, and then you go on your spiritual path and maybe have ideas of, you should be a calm person because you do the inner work. But no, this is what I am. And this is authentic who I am. And yes, I also suffer. And yes, I have very sad moments, but I also have a lot of fun moments and gentle moments. And this is, what makes it so healthy and alive when I sit in the circle and meet all these beautiful people showing up. It takes a lot of courage and coming in a circle like this with a bunch of strangers. There's a lot what we can do in Berlin on a weekend. No, they decide to come together and do this work. And then when they share, I'm deeply touched by everything, and that's it. I think we need more and more spaces like this, because with all the media and social media and all this, being isolated, scrolling, and nothing against it. No, not at all. This is the life where we live in. So this is also part of it. But to have this real experience, to be in a circle and meet and just share, being vulnerable, showing our tears, it reminds us we're sitting all in the same boat, same crazy boat of this life, and we are all trying our best. With all the storms and the calm seas and all the changes of the weather. and then this automatically is this connection there. And to practice this, that we also can be reminded when we are in the Berlin traffic, sitting in the car and screaming at the next, I don't know, guy on the bicycle, which happens, which is fine too.
Especially in Berlin, yes.
Have it all. Just be aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. It's all the colors of the rainbow. That's what it's about.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I know we're coming up on time here. I'm loving the time together, and it's running away from us. So I want to be respectful of your time. So there are more things I would have liked to have asked. I don't know how much more time you have. Should we wrap it up or?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So usually what I like to do towards the end is give some space back to you to see if there's anything that you wanted to say that you didn't find space for, if there's anything you want to talk about that you might have going on, like you might have an event coming up, or where people could find you, this type of stuff. So you just have some time to use the space as you will.
Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, people can find me, especially us, our beautiful team of facilitators in Berlin, Holotropic Breathwork Berlin, or holotropicberlin.com. And also, we have actually a wonderful event coming up close to Hanover in Germany. 5 days holotropic breathwork and Zen meditation. It's gonna happen, yes, this year in October. So I look forward to it. We still have a couple of spots available. No, that's it. I think people will find their way if they feel drawn to it. I trust. I mean, holotropic breathwork is not for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. And I think it's great when people just find their way, their own way, where they feel drawn to, and a space where they feel seen and heard. Oh yes, maybe at the end, I would like to share a quote. It's a very short quote. A friend of us from the team, he sent us a video, and there was a woman. She read a quote. It's by Rachel Naomi Remen. The places in which we are seen and heard are holy places. They remind us of our value as human beings. They give us the strength to go on. And that touched me deeply.
Thank you, Lydia, for sharing, for sitting down to speak and sharing yourself and your stories. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being you. I'm happy to know you. And this was really nice to talk to you. So thank you for passing through with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for passing through today. Yeah, you, dear listener. Thank you for your support, for your attention, for spending some time with me and this episode's guest. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe, rate it, like it, tell your friends about it, buy a billboard somewhere next to a highway promoting it. I mean, I'm kidding, of course, but your support really does mean a lot to me. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next time.